Now Al-Akhdari is going to go on to talk about some related issues of fiqh to tayammum, and he starts off by saying, وَلَا تُسَلَّى فَرِيدَتَانِ بِتَيَمُّمٍ وَاحِدٍ. It is not permissible for a person to pray two obligatory prayers with one tayammum, and that is an issue that is according to the mashhur opinion. There are weak opinions in the madhab that say that a person can pray more than one tayammum, pray more than one fard prayer with tayammum. For example, a person who has makeup prayers, then he can pray more than one fard with one tayammum. But according to the mashhur opinion, two or more fard prayers cannot be performed with one tayammum. So for every tayammum, for every prayer, every fard prayer, a person has to make a tayammum. So that's what he says, وَلَا تُسَلَّ فَرِيدَتَانِ بِتَيَمُّمٍ وَاحِدٍ. And then he says, وَمَنْ تَيَمَّمَ لِفَرِيدَةٍ جَازَ لَهُ النَّوَافِلُ بَعْدَهَا وَمَسُّ الْمُصْحَفِ وَالتَّوَافُ وَالتِّلَاوَةُ إِنْ نَوَى ذَلِكَ وَاتَّصَلَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَلَمْ يَخْرُجِ الْوَقْتِ. Here, Al-Akhdari says that it is permissible for a person who makes tayammum for a fard, it is permissible for him after that to pray nafila with that same fard, with that same tayammum that he used to pray fard, and it's also permissible for him to touch the Quran with that same tayammum. It is also permissible for him to make tawaf around the Kaaba, and it is also permissible for him to recite Quran under the condition, and he says, in nawa dhalika, under the condition that a person had the intention of doing that, wattasalat bis salah, and that was done right after the person prayed, walam yakhruj al waqt, and that the prayer time has not exited. What does Al-Akhdari mean? What is he saying here? We first mentioned that it's not permissible for a person to pray two fard prayers with one tayammum, meaning that he has to pray one fard and then make tayammum and then pray another fard. But he says in terms of nafila or other forms of worship, a person can do those things that we just mentioned after he does his fard under conditions. So for example, I pray my fard prayer with the tayammum. If I want to, right after that prayer, I can read I can read and touch the mushaf of the Quran. I can make tawaf, and I can make nafila, and I can recite the Quran under three conditions. That will be permissible if I make the intention while I'm making the tayammum that I'm going to do one of these mentioned things after I perform my fard prayer. The second one was wattasala bis salah, and that action that I intended to do is done right after my prayer is done. So when I'm done prayer, I go directly and I read Quran. Or when I'm done prayer, I stand up and do nafila. Or when I'm done my prayer, then I'm going to go and make tawaf around the Kaaba. And the third one was lam yakhruj al-waqt, and the prayer time in which you made the tayammum for has not expired. So for example, you made tayammum for Asr, then it's permissible to do these things as long as Maghrib doesn't come in, because we mentioned that the exit of the time nullifies the tayammum. Then Al-Akhdari also mentions وَجَازَ بِالتَّيَمُّمِ النَّافِلَةِ كُلُّ مَا ذُكِرَ إِلَّا الْفَرِيدَةِ. Then Al-Akhdari mentions another issue. He says it's permissible for a person who made a tayammum for nafila as well, كُلُّ مَا ذُكِرَ إِلَّا الْفَرِيدَةِ. Here it's permissible for a person who made tayammum for the sake of nafila. It's permissible also for the things that we just mentioned, reciting the Quran, touching the Quran, making tawaf, recitation of Quran, praying nafila, but not fard. So what we mean here, he says, وَجَازَ بِالتَّيَمُّمِ النَّافِلَةِ. We mentioned from the very beginning that it is only permissible for the musafir, for the traveler, and the person who is sick to make tayammum for nafila. So what Al-Akhdari is telling you here is that if a traveler or a person who is sick made tayammum for the sake of nafila, then it is also permissible for him to do all these things that we mentioned after that nafila except fard. For example, you can't make tayammum for a nafila and then pray a fard after with the same tayammum. So the issue in which Al-Akhdari mentioned wajaz bit tayammum in nafila, that it's permissible to make that it's permissible with tayammum that was done for the sake of nafila to do all the things that he mentioned except the fard. A person can understand from that is in regards to the traveler and the person who's sick, because other than that, the person who's a resident and sound, he can't make tayammum for nafila, specifically for the nafila from the first place, so we know that he's not included in what Al-Akhdari mentions here. Then Al-Akhdari says, وَمَنْ صَلَى الْعِشَاء بِالتَّيَمُّمٍ قَامَ لِلشَّفْعِ وَالْوِتْرِ بَعْدَهَا مِنْ غَيْرِ تَأْخِيرٍ. Here, Al-Akhdari, we mentioned that it's permissible for a person to make tayammum for nafila. So Al-Akhdari mentions here that if a person, وَمَنْ صَلَى الْعِشَاء, whoever prayed Isha بِالتَّيَمُّمٍ with tayammum, with a dry ablution, then if he's going to pray his shafi'i in his witr prayer, then he should qama lishafi'i wal witri ba'daha min ghayri ta'khir, without delaying. Remember, we mentioned just recently that a person can make, after he finishes his fard, he can perform a nafila prayer under the intention that it's connected directly with the prayer. So Al-Akhdari here is giving you a practical example of how that rule is applied by saying whoever prays their Isha prayer with a tayammum, after they're done their Isha, they should stand up right away and pray their Shaf'i wal Witr without any delay. So that's what he means by qama lish-Shaf'i. He should stand up and pray his Shaf'i wal his Witri ba'daha, after his fard, min ghayri ta'khir, without any delay. Then the last issue of fiqh that Al-Akhdari mentions is وَمَنْ تَيَمَّمَ مِنْ جَنَابَةٍ فَلَا بُدَّ مِنْ نِيَّتِهَا. Whoever makes tayammum for the sake of janaba, then it is la buddha, means it is obligatory for him to have the niyyah. What niyyah are we talking about here? The niyyah of removing the greater state of impurity, not the niyyah of removing, the niyyah to make the form, a particular aspect of worship permissible from the greater impurity. As I said before, we don't make the niyyah to remove the impurity. We make the niyyah to make a certain worship permissible, exempting us from the state that we're in. So basically, all Al-Akhdari here means is that when a person makes intention, he has to have the intention that he has a greater impurity and not the lesser impurity. And that is the end of the section of tayammum. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.